I always say to my students, what tracks you play, how much of each track you play, it's completely up to you. And even though there are lots of things to consider when mixing tracks and building incredible playlists that make an impact, all of which I do cover in detail in my course, I'll link that in below. But when it comes to playing live, being able to read a crowd and even the ability to observe, sense, and direct the energy in the room with the goal of uniting everyone there and creating world-class atmosphere is honestly, it's arguably one of the most important things when you're DJing, right? And when it comes to having success as a DJ, man, being able to read a crowd, it's pretty big. So stick around, as in this video, I'm gonna give you ideas on how to play the right track at the right time, how to read a crowd, and even a fresh way of looking at playing live. I believe the first step to knowing what to play next is knowing what to play first, and that depends on the events that you're playing and even the type of night that you're playing. For instance, too often I've come on and, well, I run events for years, right? And too often I've booked like experienced DJs and they've come on with pre-planned sets, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to talk about that more in a sec. And I remember this one time these people came on and they just took it really heavy, and the vibe was too heavy for the night, it was too serious. And what happened was, it was kind of clearing the dance floor pretty quick. And instead of those guys reading the room and making adjustments and adapting to control that energy, they just kept going with their pre-planned set, and their pre-planned set wasn't working, and it resulted in them clearing the club. And then, to be honest, I just never booked them again. But then on the other hand, you have to be careful as well, because let's say you really want to come out and make a great impression. I've also seen like people come out and go hit, 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 and play all the biggest songs, like the biggest songs around right now. And maybe they're the opening DJ, or even if they are the headline DJ, it makes it very difficult for the DJs that follow, because you'll come on and not only does it make it hard for the DJs that follow, but also when you put just hit, 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 like all like that, it honestly makes the big songs have lesser impact. And I remember once, it's all about, this video is going to get into, it's all about how you introduce your big songs. And I'm going to get to that. Like, it's not like, oh geez, I'm going to play the big songs in a desperate attempt to try and build a dance floor. It's about how you bring them in. And I remember I was listening to this Camel Fat Tomorrowland set, and I'll be honest, man, like it was a really cool set, and it was flowing really well, and there's a good flow between like cool beats and some vocal moments, and it was going beautifully. But the way they brought in Cola, okay, now Cola, it's arguably their biggest track, and it kind of put them on the map and potentially mainstream them, right? And I remember when it came out, like it comes in pretty cool, and the way they brought that in, right? It was beautiful. It was a work of art. And that's what I'm saying with you guys. It's not just about coming and going big track, big back, big track, big track. It's about reading the crowd, feeling the vibe in the room, and then bringing in the big tracks at the right time to create the biggest impact and really lift the energy in the room. Now, personally, I was fortunate enough to DJ every single week at successful clubs around Australia from 1999 to 2017, so almost 2 decades, okay? And I personally found DJing is all about taking your crowd on a journey, and that often means flowing between different moods to keep things exciting. And when playing at clubs that specialize in a particular genre, I find it's sometimes about balancing underground stuff with maybe more well-known stuff. Maybe you might even go heavy before bringing it back lighter. And even familiarity with non-familiarity, with a goal to create amazing atmospheres that unite and bring people together. And in that sense, you could compare set crafting to kind of like the flow or structure of a movie. So I'm just giving you a visual kind of way to think about it. And that is, say in a movie, you might come out strong, grab people's attention, show them what they're in for. But then it's about developing certain themes, okay? Maybe character developments, maybe certain like feelings, right? Perhaps even pulling back before coming back in strong again, and making your set tell a story with peaks and dips. And it's funny, is when I listen back to sets that I've recorded in the past, okay? Quite often I pull the energy back a little bit before launching into really big tracks. And by doing so, it makes those really big tracks come in with a bigger impact. Like this, like, wow, I really feel that. As the sets where I've gone hit, 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 right? They can get a little tedious. So personally, one of the keys to really putting together amazing sets is to find really cool ways to bring in your really big tracks, as opposed to dropping your big tracks in a desperate plea to save a dying dance floor, okay? So let's say, okay, I'm playing at a club and I wasn't sure what to play next, okay? what I'd do, man, I'd start dropping some testers, okay? So for instance, like tracks I know that are good, okay, but perhaps they've got a certain feel, and I'm kind of doing it to see what the crowd's responding to, okay? And let's say I go heavy, okay, and it clears the floor. Well, I may pull it back a little bit, not desperately, just casually pull it back a little bit and perhaps try something a little bit more fun. And I keep trying tracks until I get a reaction. And once I know what the crowd likes, then hopefully that sparks some ideas within me. But instead of dropping into the biggest tracks in desperation, you've got to be careful of that. I find a way to lead into the big tracks artfully, always trying my best to flow between styles and moods, working with the crowd with one goal: to connect everyone in the room no matter what they're into and create world-class atmospheres that people love and people return to. And in this sense, right, you could, another visual, okay, you could even compare set flow to a game of chess, okay? So the small pieces set up the bigger pieces. And if you're only playing with the small pieces, the game moves too slow and everyone's bored, okay? But when you use the small pieces to set up the big pieces, you can really deliver some magic combos that lead to a win. So when crafting a set, first figure out what your big tracks are. And the best way to do that is to go clubbing and see for yourself what people are responding to. Like the tracks come on and be like, whoa, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, that's what people are into. Or perhaps you could even like see how popular tracks are by how many views they have on Spotify, find a genre that you like, or how far up they are in the Beatport chart, or perhaps even, you may include old classics that people haven't heard in a while, and you have a special way to mix them in that's like, oh wow, it's like, whoa, turns heads. It's all about that. And the more tracks and even combinations that you have in your arsenal, the better, right? And in my Performance Plus course, sorry to push the course, but I love them, right? But in my Performance Plus course, I have a whole section on preparing and mastering combos. And then let's say you're playing and the room responds to a particular track. You might think, oh yeah, okay, I know that track leads well into this, and away you go. You start going into some of your planned stuff. I'll get more into planning versus pre-planning in a sec, so stick around. But there's no better feeling than being over-prepared and having more options and tracks to choose from than you could possibly play in one night. Now, there is no doubt DJing really is about connecting everyone in the club through killer track selection, and couple that with impressive transitions, and you're laughing, okay? But like anything, okay, I've got to prepare you for this. There's going to be great nights where you can't do anything wrong. It's just amazing, and bad nights. And I have heard this once, and when it comes to reading a crowd, it is said, good judgment and knowing what track to play next usually comes with experience, but that experience often comes as a result of bad judgment, okay? Which means you're learning from your mistakes. So my advice to soften potential blows of like you messing up, always be over-prepared, okay? And that means building an organized music library where you can easily access and locate tracks in a heartbeat. Now, I dive heaps deeper into that in my course, like how to prepare all your playlists and have it all ready to go, and how to build combos and stuff too. So I'll link that in below. But many people ask, so is it okay to create a playlist and just play that playlist from start to finish? And personally, I know a ton of people who do that, okay? Myself included at times, a bit of a balance. I'll get to that one sec. And there's no doubt pre-planning sets has a ton of advantages, and fingers crossed it goes well for you. But the issue is, what happens if your pre-planned set doesn't get the best response on the night? Then if you don't adapt your set to the vibe in the room, man, you could destroy the dance floor, right? And that's gonna hurt your chances of getting asked back and people wanting to work with you. So personally, yes, I do like to have at least the basis of a playlist that I'm gonna pull from. There's no doubt that's suitable for that genre. But I do freestyle and jump around that playlist, feeling out what the crowd is into. And from there, I can build into the big tracks artfully, kind of like that chess analogy again. You put out your pawns, create openings, then you come in with your bigger pieces to crush it. However, okay, if nothing you play gets a response, okay, this is a fact, and sometimes you're losing confidence fast and nothing's working, then man, fuck it, stop caring, lean out. You've got to stop caring what other people think and commit to having fun no matter what. And that may simply mean putting on your favorite track that you love and putting yourself in a different state. And if you can lead by example and start having fun, the funny thing is, by letting go of the importance and seriousness around DJing and having fun yourself, you may find the energy picks up almost instantly, in which case the lesson is, you got to enjoy yourself and don't let that joy be determined by what other people say, think, or do. At the end of the day, Creating fun atmospheres is what it's all about. So what better place like for you to start than having fun yourself? And I saw this, like we have these student live streams, and last week in the after party, everyone did great, everyone, but Chris Taylor with Jamie G, they were having so much fun. They were smiling, dancing, to the point of possibly being a little bit silly, right? But it was translated really well. And if I was booking club events in the UK, those guys, man, I'd book them in a heartbeat, as clubs need more of that. Confident DJs that obviously know what they're doing, but they're relaxed and they're loving it and they're wearing that love on their sleeve. Like it's all about that. And personally, I was blessed enough to DJ every single week for almost 2 decades. And in my opinion, there's no better feeling than the energy you create by uniting everyone in the room, people cheering for more, and everyone loving the vibe so much that they're talking to their friends and they're returning, especially to see your sets and support your events weekly, in my case, because I'm running clubs. But the club scene, honestly, it's on a comeback now, bigger than before. And it's amazing. And sure, there's moments, there are, no doubt. There's going to be moments that test you. But when you come out victorious, right, and deliver consistently, then you're using your sets to do the most important thing, and that's connect like-minded people through creating unreal atmospheres in clubs. There's nothing like it. Comment below if you've had those experiences. Like that's what it's all about. Now, before I finish though, one thing quickly. I know a ton of people out there that are anti-prep, okay? And they think you should just turn up, read a room, and in truth, I've shared many lineups with people that have no prep whatsoever. They just turn up with music and they play. And if they have a good night, right, they're feeling it, they're in tune with the crowd, they are amazing. But if they're having a bad night, they're just a little bit off, man, then they've got nothing to fall back on, and their bad nights can be pretty bad too. So personally, I like doing both, okay? So I probably turn up with a master playlist, like full of tracks that I think will work well, especially for that event. The more songs I could possibly play. And sure, not all the tracks are in a particular order, but I've usually got at least a couple of dozen combos or cool transitions I may have practiced that week. And I remember one time, I was playing a really big event actually, and sure, I was mostly reading the crowd and I was playing tracks based on, you know, what people are into, and I'm feeling it out like I said earlier. But I'm always looking for opportunities to launch into my combos, okay? And sure, some of these combos, they may be quite advanced and they require concentration. You're pushing your boundaries, and sure, that can add pressure. But a cool combo or transition, man, it has the potential, like when a track comes on, you're like, man, it wows the crowd. And it also makes it fun and challenging for myself while I play. And I remember one night, after pulling off this like amazing transition, like it was too good to just be freestyled, really. The DJ that played before me, he came up to me and goes, man, that was rehearsed, right? And you know, I said, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with rehearsing it. There's no issue with that. But the interesting thing is the fact that that guy knew it was rehearsed, it says it all, okay? And by rehearsing, you can put together transitions that are on a whole other level and have the power to really lift the energy in the room and create a wow factor. But again, right, coming back to this video, right, you need to find a balance personally between, you can't just go out with everything rehearsed. You have to find a balance between being able to read the crowd, test what music they're into, and then lead into your rehearsed stuff. Now, if playing live sounds like something you want to do, but perhaps you're not sure how to get shows, or maybe you lack the confidence needed to take the first step, then man, honestly, I know I say this, but check out my courses. I have this whole section on the club pack, right? Where I share I've got 20 years of industry insights and tips, and, you know, and how to get shows. I've gotten heaps of people in Sydney, like, you know, people worldwide even into shows, even how to get residencies and how it all works. So, and in many ways, right, I, in some ways, have more experience running clubs than DJing. Like, don't get me wrong, I was DJing every week, right? But the majority of my time was spent promoting the nights, assuring people are there, okay? And that means when I could turn up, I could play to packed rooms because there was a culture and community around my events. And that's what I'm all about, actually, culture and community. It's one thing, talent, but then actually, you know, there's more steps. But anyway, there's a bit more to DJ success than you may think. And sure, being talented is one thing, but it's also getting opportunities and then knowing how to read a crowd, and even, you know, researching your set so you're turning up with the right kind of music in the first place. But anyway, my course delivers all that in way more detail than these videos, but these videos are designed to get you thinking, you know, hopefully provide inspiration. And anyway, but thanks, man. I actually love doing this. Today I've had a bit more fun. I don't know. Anyway, man, I'm just fooling around with you guys a bit. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week. And thanks for being part of the Club Ready Tribe. Thanks.